I'm here with Nick Brothers. Today is September 16, 2011, and Nick is the director of Crossbar X Youth Ranch in Durango, Colorado. And Nick, first tell us a little bit about growing up.
I grew up out in Belton, California, and all the way up through high school. When I got done with high school, I went off to Laterno College and graduated from Laterno with a degree in mechanical engineering. And then I was starting to look for an engineering job, and it worked out to go to Multnomah School of the Bible in Portland.
For engineering?
No, after I graduated in engineering, I went there for Bible at Multnomah. They have a grad program. I was there for 1 year and studied the Bible. And after that, I started looking for an engineering, went back to California to live with my folks. And it was at that time I started looking for an engineering job. And that's kind of where everything kind of, change of events all kind of happened, where I went to Colorado at that point.
And growing up, you got brothers and sisters?
I have one older brother and one younger sister.
So you're right in the middle?
I'm right in the middle.
All right. And your siblings' names?
My older brother is Tom, and he's, of course, here, and his wife, Nan, are here in Sandpoint. And then my sister and her husband, Eric, are just out of Denver in Idaho Springs.
Idaho Springs in Colorado?
Yeah. That's right.
Next to Colorado Springs in Colorado?
No, it's kind of the other side of Denver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your siblings, you grew up, Tom, Nick, and Terry?
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Very close to Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah.
So you guys were known as the Brothers.
Yeah. Brothers with one sister.
With one sister. And which one did Mom like best?
Me, of course.
And then, so you moved to Colorado. When did you move to Colorado?
Well, back when I was in California looking for an engineering job, I met man Paul and his wife Mary that were planning to start a camp for inner city kids in Durango, and it was kind of a decision point time because I kind of felt called to go do something like that. And so through circumstances, I ended up not going into engineering and went out to Colorado to help Paul and Mary start this camp for inner city kids.
And did your parents move out there? Were you with your parents at the time? How old were you?
I was 25. I was living with my parents when I moved out there.
And you moved out alone?
Yeah.
And your parents were in California still?
California, yeah. My parents lived in California for another year after I moved out to Colorado. Then they moved up here to Sandpoint.
So that's how you got connected with Kootenai Community Church?
Right.
Now, your mom and dad have attended here since?
My mom and dad have been here forever. I know my dad, I don't know, I think it was Mr. Kenny that I think started the church. And
it was shortly after Kootenai Community Church became Kootenai Community Church that they came.
And I know my dad came here and got involved and
he was an elder here for years.
Yeah.
And he taught Sunday school too as well. Your mom and dad, your dad passed away here a couple years ago? How far?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
I had asked my mom that this morning or yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long, does it?
4 years ago? I said, no, it's been 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So now you're married.
I am married.
How did you meet your wife?
Well, while I was at Crossbar X, I got going and been in operation for 4 years. And Tracy came to counsel, and she counseled for 2 years. And then after 2 years, we got interested in each other and then got married in 1984.
And you've been working at the camp ever since?
And ever since, yeah. It's been 34 years.
And children?
We have 4 daughters. Amy is our oldest. She's 25. She graduated with a degree in communication and art. And then she's still living in Durango and works as a photographer through an Old West photography place and photographies weddings. And she has applied to go to graduate school in Washington, D.C. I can't remember the name of the school, but it's kind of a well-known school. But they have a new degree, and I don't know if I can remember the name of it, but it's something like New Journalism photo or new photojournalism. And she's going to get her master's in that. And hopefully we'll start that a year from this fall. And she needs to get some scholarships and some things to be able to afford that. So she's pretty excited about heading out there. I think she kind of, one of the reasons she picked the school, because she really would like to do an internship with, something in that field. And this school does have some great opportunities with internships, like the Washington Post, National Geographic, and some of those larger companies. So she really would like to get into that aspect of photo.
All right. And another?
And then there's Christy. Christy graduated from Fort Lewis and Durango, as did Amy, in biology. She got married a year ago this last summer to Riley. So she is now Christy Alderton. Riley's dad is a pastor. And Riley just graduated from Fort Lewis also and just started as a full-time teacher teaching kindergarten. And he loves kids. Christy would like to pursue nursing. So she is trying to get into nursing school right now. She was hoping to start this fall, but it didn't work out. So that's the direction she's headed. And then there's the next daughter is Nicole. Nicole is in her second year of college, her first year at Fort Lewis, and then her second year now at Colorado State University in Fort Collins. And she's majoring in agricultural business. And she someday would like to have her own little organic farm. And so that's kind of the direction she's headed. And then our youngest, Laura, is a senior at Grace Preparatory Academy. And I don't know what she wants to do. I would like for her, I know Fort Lewis and Durango offers an engineering degree, and I would like one of my daughters to kind of follow in my footsteps. So anyway, I've kind of tried to encourage her, why don't you think about this engineering degree? Because she's very good with conceptual concepts and that sort of thing. So I think she'd be good at it.
A wife and 4 daughters.
A wife and 4 daughters. So it's the brothers, sisters at our house.
You live in an ocean of estrogen, don't you?
I won't admit it, but yeah.
And did your kids, have they all been involved at the camp at one point or another?
Yeah. No, I mean, they've just grown up with the camp. They've grown up at the camp. They were, we had 2 home births, so 2 of them were born right at the camp with a midwife. And, they've been involved for a lot of years. I guess more recently, both Amy and Nicole and Christy, all 3 of them have all counseled, maybe not for the whole summer, but for part of the summer, and helped out in other aspects. Christy's also worked as our wrangler and ropes course facilitator. This last summer, Christy was a part-time wrangler, and Riley was our ropes course manager. And Laura, for a number of years, has been the camp photographer and video person and put together those videos and photographs.
So they all do stuff with the camp in one degree or another?
Right.
So what type of ministry is the camp? We're familiar with the camp here locally. We have a Bible camp. They have 100 and anywhere from 70 to 120, 150 kids at the camp, boys and girls at the same time, kids from different churches, Christian kids, non-Christian kids. They've got a lake there. They have a staff there. What is it similar to that, your camp?
Our camp is very similar in some ways, but it's quite different from your normal camps in that we're a direct ministry to low-income, inner-city kind of kids. So we keep it a little bit smaller since some of the kids have more needs than maybe the normal Christian camp that kids come to.
So how many kids would you have for a week? And you run it a week at a time?
We have week-long camps. We run anywhere from 25 to 35 kids per session.
Per week?
Per week.
How many weeks?
Let me just run through our camps that we have. We start in May with the counselor training. We have a week and a half of counselor training, and it's very intense and very involved, and how to teach Bible lessons and ministering to the kids with special needs. And so that's quite intense. That's a week and a half. And then we have 3 camps that are our Falcon camps. We named all of our camps after birds because our camp verse is Isaiah 40:31. If those who wait on the Lord will mount up with wings as eagles. So that's kind of where our bird camps came from,
okay,
per se. So our first 3 camps, our youngest camps, are called our Falcon camps. They're 1 week long, and they're for kids 8 and 9. We have these kids. We have one special camp, or 2 special camps, in that one of the Falcon camps is just kids, inner city kids from Phoenix, Arizona. Those kids are involved with Mentor Kids USA. It's a Christian mentoring program, and they'll bring up a whole busload of kids for just a camp for them. We also have a camp, one Falcon camp, that's just for inner city kids from Denver. And we have a big Bluebird school bus, and we run the bus up there to Denver to pick them up.
Even your school bus is named after a bird.
That's right. I never thought of that, but it is. Yeah. The bird bus.
So 3 weeks of Falcon camp.
Right. And then we have 2 weeks of what we call our Red Hawk camps. And those are our high school camps. There are kids from 14 to 16. And then our last couple of camps are our Eagle camps, and those are for our middle school age kids. And most of our camps are just boys or just girls. The Falcons are co-ed, but the Eagle and the Red Hawk are boys or girls. And then we also have 2 Condor camps, which are week-long backpack trips.
So you go from May till when do you get done? August?
About the middle of August. That's when school starts for all the kids in Colorado. So we can't run any longer than that.
So what type of activities do you do during the week? You mentioned a ropes course.
Right.
What is that?
Well, as far as all of our activities, we have a very structured schedule with a ton of activities that's going on. It's it's highly programmed, I guess you could say. Maybe I could run you through a typical day.
Sure.
That'll give you an idea of the activities and also kind of a little more of how we work. Start first thing in the morning with a staff devotional with our counselors, and then the counselors and their campers clean their cabins, and they have a little quiet time, then flag raising, and then breakfast. And after breakfast, we do chores with the kids, and that could be anywhere from cleaning the bathrooms. It could be feeding the animals. We usually have chickens and goats, and we have the kids take care of them. It's really neat for inner city kids to go out there and find an egg in the chicken coop. Like, oh, this is where eggs come from.
Yeah.
Wow. So anyway.
But they were made in a factory.
Yeah. So they do their chores, and after chores, we have a Bible lesson. We do all those. Tim, our program director, puts those together before the summer, and our counselors help teach them. We also bring in some special speakers that sometimes to teach Bible lessons. And this last summer our theme was the Wild Wild Quest, which was kind of a takeoff of the Old West, but of course a quest for God. This last summer, that was our theme. After that, we have classes where all kinds of different classes that they can sign up for, where they can do like a cooking class, they can do an archery class, they can do a horse class, they can do a knot tying class, and, the list kind of an endless, survival class, first aid class, kind of whatever, the counselors kind of come up with as far as class, and the kids seem to really enjoy those. After that, we have what we call our one-on-one time. And the real focus of the camp is to give the kids personal attention. That's why we don't take a lot of kids at one time, and we have one counselor to 5 kids. And during that one-on-one time, the counselor just takes one of their kids for a special activity. They can do whatever they want. Maybe go down to the game room and shoot pool, or go ride the horses, or go down to the lake and go fishing. But it's just for them to minister to their kids one-on-one. And that's a lot of times on the kids' evaluations, that's their favorite thing, is the one-on-one time with their counselor. The rest of the kids are all involved in a group game with support staff. After that is lunch. After lunch, we have usually a craft time. And then we have rec time in the afternoon, and that's where they can go down to the lake. We have about a 3-acre lake where they can go swimming or fishing. We have a water slide going into the lake that the kids love. We also just had donated to the camp. That's a small blob and big raft with a swing on it and a rolling log on it and all kinds of fun things. And the kids spend a lot of time at the lake. We also have our challenge course, and the kids really like that. It's a very large challenge course with high and low ropes course initiatives. We also have a giant swing. We have what we call our leap of faith, where you jump off the top of a pole and have to grab a trapeze 35 feet off the ground. Then we also just put in a 800-foot zip line that goes across a creek and lands down by the challenge course. In the evenings, of course, we always have a night game. The kids love that. Then another evening lesson in the evening. And we also take the older kids backpacking for 3 days. And when we're there on a Sunday, some of our camps are 10 days for the older kids. Then we take them into church on Sunday, hopefully to teach them the pattern of just,
weekly worship.
Yeah.
So the type of kids that you have coming, you say low income inner city kids.
Mm-hmm.
You get troubled kids from, juvie hall, kids with bad backgrounds, kids with single parent homes.
We get those type of kids, but we have to be real careful to say, we're not necessarily a camp for
troubled kids.
Troubled kids. Well, we get troubled kids, but a lot of people think that we're a camp treatment center, and we're not that at all. Some people say, well, can I send my son there for the whole summer? Well, that tells me this kid needs to probably be in a treatment center. And I try to be real clear about that, because if we get kids that are really troubled and have high needs, and it just doesn't work. We end up sometimes having to send those kids home, or
you get a parent who their kid's a felon in the making, and they want you to straighten them out in 3 months.
Exactly. And when we're not that, our focus is for kids that, hey, they're poor, they never have the opportunity to go to camp, and that's what we're there for. And just by the very nature of that and being inner city, we do get kids that have had court dates after camp and some things like that, but we kind of rely on the inner city church to send us those kids that they know that we can really minister to.
So over the course of summer, you have 125, 150 kids that come through there.
We have about 200 kids that go through our program each summer.
Every summer.
Mm-hmm.
How many counselors do you have to have for the whole summer to handle that workload? If it's more intense, more one-on-one.
We hire 10 counselors, 5 guys and 5 gals. And how we kind of work it also is that when we have just boys or just girls camps, the guys are all counseling and the girls are all working in a support role, whether it's helping with the games or helping in the kitchen or whatever like that. We also hire some part-time people during the summer. Like I mentioned, Christy was involved. We hire a part-time wrangler, part-time challenge course manager, part-time photographer, and sometimes some extra person to kind of help out in the kitchen. We get volunteers. Do I put a little plug in here if anybody wants to come down and cook for camp? We have volunteer cooks that come in and cook for a whole camp. And we've done that for about 3 or 4 years now. And these folks that come in and cook just love doing it. It's really been exciting to have those people come in and see a chance to see the ministry and to serve that way. So if anybody's interested in coming down and cooking for a week, we've had people come, from halfway across the United States to cook for just one camp.
Just 1 week.
Yeah.
That's their vacation time.
Yeah. So anyway, that's available. So that's our summer staff.
So how did you get involved in this ministry? Did you, when you mentioned another couple that you moved out there with, was it Paul?
Right.
Paul and Paul and Mary, did you say?
Yeah, kind of how
Peter.
How it kind of all came about was that Paul and his family, his dad had a 800-acre ranch, cattle ranch, with some property in the mountains also. And Paul had this vision to start a Christian camp on a working cattle ranch for inner city kids. Well, he went to Mount Hermon in California, which is a large Christian camp, as an intern for 1 year to learn about it. And that's where someone I guess kind of where ministry came from in my heart was that when I was in high school, about a junior, senior in high school, there was a single mom, and she had a 14-year-old son that this mom was into drugs and, I mean, a pretty rough lifestyle. Anyway, somehow she got connected with our church out there, and this older lady led her to the Lord. And so she had a need. Her car broke down, and somehow, so my brother Tom and I went over to help work on her car just to help her out. So I kind of got to know her son a little bit. And it was through those circumstances that I thought, someday I'd like to be involved with a ministry to help low-income families. So, later on, when I was back and met Paul, back there at Mount Hermon, Paul started telling me about this camp he and Mary were going to start in Colorado for inner city kids. So God seemed to lead me in that direction. I was actively looking for an engineering job at that time. And so I really wanted to get some experience in engineering before I jumped into any kind of ministry. So I always had something to fall back on. Well, anyway, God had different plans, and through circumstances, I ended up going to Colorado to help Paul and Mary start this camp for inner city kids.
Are Paul and Mary still involved with the camp?
No, they're not. Paul and Mary were involved with the camp for the first 4 years. And then Paul went out to California to study discipleship, and then went to Pakistan as a missionary, then came back, and some things kind of fell apart with their marriage. It was kind of a sad story from there. But,
and so you took over the camp,
right,
what you had helped him start.
Right. After the first 4 years after he left, then I really took things over. And
so the camp, how many acres does it sit on right now?
Right now, the original donated acreage from Paul's dad was 35 acres. We now have approximately 150 acres of land, which is a huge blessing.
Yeah. Not all of it filled with buildings, obviously.
No. So we've got pasture for our horses and trails. And
so you went to college for engineering, then Bible college for 1 year, and then right into this ministry to inner city poor kids.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any special training that equips you for this, or just on the job training?
I the farthest thing from my mind to ever think I was going to go into camping. I mean, I had really no interest in doing anything like that.
You wanted to design dams and streets and
bridges and buildings, and that's really what I wanted to do. In terms of camping, I do love the outdoors, and so I was, I love to camp and backpack, and so it was kind of a natural fit that way. But I learned the camping industry from the school of very, very hard knocks, lots of mistakes. And throughout the years.
But God's faithful and still running today, and
it's faithful and it's grown.
So what does your job involve with the camp? What do you do?
Okay, well, throughout
it's changed over the years.
Yeah, one thing I can say that the basic ministry and what we do has not changed. It's from the day one when we started to minister to low income kids, and that focus is still the exact same thing that we're doing today. And I'm hoping that will go on forever, the focus of our ministry. I guess as far as, the way things might have changed, the original intent of Paul was to start or have a camp really for kids to come and work on a working cattle ranch. Well, that kind of worked for the first couple of years, but it just didn't work very well.
Come work your summer for free.
Yeah.
Help us raise cattle.
Come pay to work at the camp.
Oh, yeah.
Or have someone to pay for you. There was one time.
I should start one of those in my house.
Yeah. There was one time that, our very first summer we had 3 kids, and, we, borrowed an army tent and had, that was our kitchen and dining room, and dug an outhouse, and we had 3 kids, and it was kind of my job to counsel the kids, and, Paul was kind of running other things. And so I'd take them out there to do ranch work. We'd go do shovel irrigating. We'd fix fence all for hours and hours and move rocks. And pretty soon they started calling me their slave master. It wasn't. Anyway, it really didn't.
And word spread, and the next year you had 2, and then word spread, and the next year you had 1.
No. The second year we had 18 boys. We ran 2 camps with 18 boys. And so from there, it just continued to grow, and it changed a little more in terms of more typical camp activities.
Okay, so you started off being slave master, and then your job went to what?
Well, I guess throughout those years, a lot of what I did was like everything, especially after Paul left. I had some people to help me with the program, kind of off and on, but it was pretty rough in terms of, and also we built all of our buildings. So like summer we do our camp program, and then during the wintertime we built buildings. The Lemon Ranch had some property in the mountains where we could go cut trees, and we hired a logging truck, brought them out. So we built 2 log buildings. One was our kitchen and dining facility, and the other was more of a lodge with sleeping facilities and a game room. So we didn't have any money, so every little bit of money we'd raise some more logs, and kind of kept going up and a lot of volunteer help. So, and then when it's got close to summer, we'd have to scramble to start finding counselors to write program, and then jump right into doing the summer program. So that's kind of what my job looked like a lot throughout the years. About 14. Well, I did have a couple of program directors. My brother-in-law's program. Then there was another program director for him, Lauren York. And after they had both left, I was kind of at a point where I said, God, I just can't run it like this anymore. And then God brought, for almost 8 years, Jeremy Yarbrough and his family, and they, really helped to run the program. And then now we have Tim and Marcy Miller, who is our program director, who really runs all the program, does all the counselor recruitment, and
so today your role is more administrative, really.
Right, it's more administrative and maintenance. So what I do is really kind of all the administrative stuff. So on that end, it includes all our state licensing standards, except for the child care license. Tim kind of handles that, but all our other licenses I have to keep on top of. I take care of any. So if you make a donation to the camp, I handle all the receipting process and correspondence, like with receipts and correspondence with, a lot is, I guess a big part of my job is taking in calls and, people wanting to know stuff, and
you're involved in a little bit of the fundraising stuff as well.
And then also, all the fundraising is really my responsibility. We do a couple bigger fundraising events throughout the year, and
now you do a bike race,
right? So we in May, and if anybody rides bike and would like to come down and help us raise funds for the kids, it's really fun. I do it and have done it for about 9 years now. There's in Durango, there's what's called the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic. It's a big event. Thousands of people come in to ride in this Iron Horse Bicycle Classic, which is started with a race. There's a narrow gauge train that runs from Durango to Silverton, and you race the train all the way to Silverton, and you gain quite a bit of elevation. You gain like 5,500 feet in elevation to get there, and you can beat the train. And there's also some racing divisions, which I involved in my age division for that. So we usually have about 15 to 20 riders that come in and join in this event, and they just get sponsorships just to ride in the event, and all the sponsorships go to the camp to sponsor kids to come. So it's a real fun event. If anybody loves to ride and would like to come, we provide all the place to stay and food for while you're there, and Durango's a great place to visit.
How many miles is the bike ride?
It's about 50 miles. And so, it is a little challenging. You do have to train for it. But we have people that come from, close to sea level that train and just take their time and start extra early. And
so then your second big fundraiser is a spaghetti feed.
It's not a spaghetti feed anymore. Now we just call it our Hope for Youth dinner, and people got tired of spaghetti, so we kind of axed the spaghetti, and now we serve a nice dinner and give a camp presentation in Denver, and try to raise the sponsorships from the people in Denver for the kids that come from the Denver area. So that is our other bigger fundraising event.
So currently you have, as far as administrative or more full-time staff, yourself and then one other couple, Tim and Marcy, did you say?
Right, and we also have Joy Young. She helps with a lot of the she does all the registration of campers and helps me out with the newsletter. And
she's volunteer?
No,
Okay.
She's like half-time, three-quarter-time a person. She's a single mom. She lost her husband to a heart attack just, I guess it's been about 2-3 years ago now. And so she's been involved in the camping industry. And Tim knew her beforehand. And in fact, her husband was one of Tim's best friends. So anyway, she has come out. She lives at the camp and is a great help. I really appreciate all of her work. So I have her do a number of things for me, and it's really nice.
And so if you're running camps from May through August, what do you do from August through May? Is the camp shut down, or do you rent it out?
We run rental groups. That helps generate a little bit of income for the camp. We also run our own retreats during the wintertime. Those retreats are mostly for local kids in the area. We might do an overnighter or just a day. We also do what we call coffee houses, where we'll invite the kids out to come out for an evening of just games and
So you got activities going on year round,
right? So there's things going year round. Sometimes we'll travel to Denver, to Phoenix, to put on like a little mini retreat, or like just get together the kids, reconnect with them, and follow up with them just a little bit.
Okay, so the kids that you are impacting during the summer months, during the rest of the year, you are touching base with them, discipling them, seeing how they're doing, where they're at.
Right.
Another opportunity for evangelism.
Right.
And the emphasis of the camp is primarily what, evangelism, discipleship, training in some way?
Well, I guess it's hard to say which one's the most important to us. Probably the biggest two are evangelism and discipleship. This last summer, Tim hasn't given me the numbers yet, but we probably had about, out of the roughly 200 kids, I think about 30 kids come to know the Lord, and which is really exciting to me.
Yeah.
And then what we really encourage is for those kids to keep coming back. And we kind of look at that more as the discipleship aspect of coming back to camp, so that each year they come back, we try to minister to them a little more, encourage them to grow in their faith. Kind of a really neat example of kind of how that works. We have a gal that's been coming to camp for a long, long time, maybe 10, 12 years. She came when she was really young to our Falcon camps. Her mom let her come to camp because she thought it's a really good idea just to know about different religions, and it's really good to know about the Christian religion. So she was real supportive of her going to a Christian camp, even though she wasn't a Christian. And on her level, that's good to learn about, Buddha as well as Jesus. And so, yeah, this is a great thing. So she came to camp for probably about 4 years. And, you're a camper, talk to her about Christ and believing in him. And, she said, no, I'm just not.
Just here for the education.
Yeah, I just want to try to understand this a little bit. And then after about 5 years, on her very own, she accepted Christ. Just, like, wow, and it was through all the influence of Crossbar X and that, but it was kind of on her own, in her own time, in her own place. And so then she told us, and we thought, wow, this is great. So then she kept coming to camp. And so then we had, I guess, the opportunity to really more of the discipleship aspect of growing. For the last couple of years, she's been involved in our SALT program. This is another program I hadn't mentioned as far as the camp that we offer. Our SALT program stands for Servant Adventure Leadership Training. And it's really, it talks about servant there. So these kids come, they need to be high school age, and they work. They work in the kitchen doing dishes and, helping support the counselors and what they do. And it's quite involved, and they have some of their own Bible studies. They have their own counselor. And anyway, she's been involved in that for the last 2 years and has just really grown. And now she's even through our church in town going on missions trips to, she just went on one to, is either Guatemala or Nicaragua. And right now she's raising money again to go on another missions trip. So that's been really exciting to see.
Somebody comes to know the Lord,
right?
Walk with Him, and then start serving Him.
Right. And that's kind of makes it all worth it when you see the whole process of the camp. And this gal is just kind of.
So you have supporting churches that send these inner city poor kids out to the camp. These kids come to the camp, they come to know Christ, or they hear the gospel. They go back to where those churches are at. Hopefully they're getting connected with those good churches.
Exactly. That's a big part of our I guess I would say our follow-up program, is that we want to work with a Christian organization or church, just like Mentor Kids, that we know that, they're getting a Christian mentor for them and hopefully plugging them into a church, and then some of these inner city churches that we can, encourage and minister to them. That the church would continue to minister to them. So that's a big part of what we try to do.
So where do you see the camp going in the next few years? You've been doing this since 1982, 80?
1977.
1977.
Yeah, that was our first summer.
You've been doing this since 1977.
Yeah.
And you've been there all of those years. Never missed a year. Keep plugging away.
Yep.
Faithfully serving. So now you got to be upwards of 40 years old. You're looking at the future.
I wish I was 40 years old.
And you're saying to yourself, what am I doing next? What do you do? You're doing something here. Tell us about that.
Well, let me kind of just say that, as far as the future of the camp, my whole goal is that I want to see Crossbar X Youth Ranch go on for a long, long time, doing exactly what it's doing. And so that's a really big concern of mine, because it's kind of like when one of the founders, leaves an organization, that's kind of a critical point. The organization will continue to go and grow, or it'll begin to die. Mm-hmm. And I don't want it to die. So it's just really important to me.
Hand the baton off to the next guy.
Right. So I have been kind of working with the board of directors as far as trying to work through some sort of transition where we have, things are going well and good, and to try to transition in a new executive director, my position. So we're working on those details and how that all exactly looks. I'm praying right now that maybe our program director, Tim Miller, and his family might do that. He has a real passion for the ministry and what we do and how it works, and so he'd kind of be an ideal person to carry it on in the future. So and in the transition is what it looks like right afterwards. I'm not real sure. It might be not quite a full-time position, but I might try to transition into more projects in a sense for the camp.
More part-time stuff.
Where I might do speaking for the camp, or maybe some fundraising things for the camp, or we just don't really know what that looks like. I'd still like to, be able to sit in on the camp Bible lessons and see the kids singing, and just still kind of be there and kind of support in some way or another. So I'm not really sure how that's going to look, but it'll probably move into not quite a full-time position, and then there might be a little transition farther out there. But so I'm not real sure how that all really looks yet.
Now, right now you're building a house in Sandpoint.
Right now, next to my mom's property, we're starting. Part of my purpose in this is that, just in living at the camp, I've never built up any equity in any type of a house or any place to live. So my first goal is, to have some equity in a place that I can live in the future.
So you don't retire and then start paying rent.
So I don't start paying rent, exactly. So over the course of the year, my mom has allowed me to buy 5 acres from her. And so each year I come work a little bit more, save a little more money, and try to do the next step. And so right now we're building a garage with a little apartment on it. And so we're in the stage of right now putting in the septic system, and hopefully next year we can start framing the garage out there with the apartment. And
I got an idea for you. You should start a camp where kids come and work at your new house for the summer.
A missions trip.
That's right. They can pay you to come.
That's right.
And build on your house.
Yeah.
And you put them to work for the summer.
That's right.
You start off with 3 kids and go right back to being a slave master.
Right. So
what have you learned about God through this ministry?
That God's faithful. I mean, it's just, it's incredible. God is good and God is faithful. I mean, I think that's what I've really learned. I mean, there's been some very, very difficult times where, you feel like, well, I'm done with this. And, God's just been faithful to provide. I mean, in reality, looking at, the camp really has to raise all of its money to operate. We get very little money through, like the kids, when they come, they only pay like a minimal deposit to help guarantee that they'll come. And then, a little bit of income through rentals, but really everything else is just, God's provision.
Donated.
Yeah. And so that's been the most incredible part, that the ministry is still going.
What is it about you, your personality, your character, your temperament that makes you uniquely wired to handle this type of ministry? Do you feel like a fish out of water, or do you feel right at home doing what you're doing?
No, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I feel right at home with it. I guess as far as what I'm wired to do is, I guess what makes me do what I do is that, it was back in high school that I really made the decision to, I became a Christian when I was really young, but it was in high school that I really said, hey, I need to really commit to the Christian life, or I need to forget about it. When I was at that point, I really said, I want to commit to the Lord, 100%. And so it was kind of like through my college years, and that, one is that I did want to make a bunch of money, but I also wanted to, I wanted my life to count for the kingdom of God. I wanted to do something that way. So, I knew that that's one of the things that helped me make my decision to go to Colorado. So in terms of how I'm wired is that, I want to do something that's going to count for eternity with my life. And I know you can do that in many different ways. And this is just kind of where God kind of put me there. And that's, I just love seeing kids come. I love ministering to kids. I just love to see them come to know the Lord and,
walk with Him.
The camping ministry is just a tool to do that.
One last question. What are ways that people can pray for the camp and for you and your family?
Let's see. How can you pray for us? One is you can kind of really pray for us during this transition. I'm still working with the board of directors that we have there, and they're very supportive of this and trying to help out on this, and just that God would really raise up the people and the board and everything that would help the camp to, just keep going on for years and years and years and years and years in the future. And that I might see thousands and thousands of kids come to know the Lord and grow in Him. And that's probably one of my biggest prayer requests. I guess another prayer request is, as you do get older, it takes more energy to keep going. And camping ministry is a high energy. Takes a lot of energy to keep going. And sometimes I start feeling a little bit tired. And
by the end of May.
Yeah, by May I feel tired. Yeah. So anyway, and just pray for how that looks for Tracy too. She's currently teaching at Grace Preparatory Academy in Durango, and it's a Christian school for middle school and high school kids, and that's where Laura's going to school. And so after Laura graduates, kind of how some directions that she might go, or she's kind of looking at. She would like to do tutoring for dyslexic kids. 2 of our kids are a little bit dyslexic, so she has real passion for that type of thing. And so I think she'd really love to do is to help, kids that can't afford that type of tutoring to be able to get that type of tutoring for that help in school and reading. I guess you'd call her a reading specialist is kind of more
what she does.
So I guess those are a couple of prayer requests, and just, pray for my kids as they grow up. That
you have one married, 3 yet to be married.
Yep. So just in all the directions, I guess for my kids, just I'd really like prayer for Amy as she goes out to Washington D.C. I know that there'll probably be some very strong, liberal influences there, both politically and both, spiritually, and just that God would really plug her into a Christian body out there that would really keep her encouraged in that direction. And, just Christy, as she pursues nursing, she might even consider going to being a PA or something like that. And just, Nicole, as she makes it through college. And I guess all my kids for their relationships with, with a potential husband and that sort of thing. So
one last thing, and we probably should have talked about this a little bit earlier, but your work with the camp doesn't mean that you're not involved in local church either. You're very involved in your local church.
Right.
You serve there. You fellowship there.
Right.
So right there in Durango.
First Baptist Church of Durango. And I've been very involved and very committed to them throughout the years. I've served as an elder there, and I've also, when I first came to Durango, I got involved with First Baptist right away. I was the Sunday school superintendent. They don't have that anymore, but I was a volunteer and did all the Sunday school materials and finding teachers and
working with kids.
And working with kids. And I also I was very involved with the building committee. There's been some remodeling, and I've spent a lot of work helping that way.
And you've preached occasionally?
I haven't really preached any sermons. I have done some Sunday school classes.
Okay.
But no sermons yet.
Well, thanks, Nick, for taking the time.
Okay.
Appreciate
You're welcome.
the opportunity to get to know you.
Thank you.